Hi everybody, welcome to my channel and another unboxing video on this stormy and thunderous evening. There's a lot of thunder outside, so I'm hoping that it won't interfere too much with the audio quality. A quick wristwatch check reveals that I'm wearing nothing. I just got home from work, and so I took my Yema off and I put it on the winder, not because it needs wound, but the others need winding, and you really have to balance the cyclotester with 6 watches. If you just have 5 on there, there's the thunder. If you just have 5 on there, then it's imbalanced, and that's not really good for the gear that runs the whole thing. So I went on ahead and took the Yema Superman World Time off and put it on the winder. I received this package today at work, and I have to say it's a bit of a surprise. I didn't know which watch it was. I was anticipating a different watch, but here on the bottom I can see that it is, in fact, a watch that I ordered first, so I'm kind of happy that watches that come from AliExpress come in the order in which you order them. So every time I open my knife, I deliberately hit the package that I'm about to open. It's not an accident, it's on purpose, but I'm not sure if anybody has been able to see that. And of course, my cat, one of my cats, is trying to make an appearance. All right, Ayla. Perfect timing. So she's trying to be a YouTube star, I guess. Let me just give her a different spot here. That's brilliant. Anyway, she just came in from the rain and just had a bite to eat, so now she wants to say hello, and she's staring at my computer monitor like she knows what's going on. All right, so let's get this thing started here. Inside of this box package, there we go. THORN. I had wanted to get an homage of the BB58 from San Martin. And some months ago, I had been looking at it, wanting to pull the trigger on it. However, there were a couple of little features that I wanted to see on the same watch. And unfortunately, San Martin didn't offer that. And here we go. And so we'll discuss that a little bit further as I go through the unpacking. All right, so user pamphlet brochure. And here we go. This is our watch. Fairly no frills packaging. Put that out of the way. All right, so here we go. What are we looking at? Well, it's a BB58 homage. So, as I said, San Martin had a very similar homage, which I was very interested in. I was mostly interested in the sort of patina dial indices and hands. I was interested in that, and I liked the San Martin. I was going to pull the trigger on it, but what I really wanted, in an older version of the San Martin, they had these older version of the oyster bracelet with the rivets on the ends. And the San Martin that I wanted to get, I want to say SN008, but I could be wrong. It had the new bracelet without the rivets on the end, and it had the dial that I really wanted. So whereas the older San Martin BB58 homage had the bracelet I wanted, it didn't have the dial configuration that I wanted. And then I learned about THORN. So I became very excited, and I was ready to pull the trigger on the THORN that had all of the indices as either rectangles or circular without the 639. And I saw the 639, and I decided, maybe I like that a little better. And instead of the snowflake hour hand. Maybe I'll just go ahead and get a Mercedes hand since I kind of like that better. Let me get the plastic off here. But you know, immediately upon opening this and looking at this, I'm feeling a little bit like the photography and the videos that I watched make the watch look better than in real life. I'm not saying I have buyer's remorse because I haven't even gotten it out of the plastic yet, but it's not as much gold as I was hoping for. So we've got gilt hands, and I can't see clearly through the plastic, but the indices on the bezel are not gold filled. They are just some type of paint, which isn't even gold paint. Don't get me wrong, I'm not asking for liquid 24 karat gold paint filled indices on the bezel, but a gold paint would have been nice. And also on the dial itself, it doesn't look like it's gold. So I want to make that clear in this video, which has not been made clear in other videos that I watched, and is also deceptive in the photography that you see of this watch if you Google it or visit the store on AliExpress. Those indices on this ceramic bezel are just sort of a kind of a cream, tinged cream, and it's the same with the minute track and the paint that is used to surround the applied indices, well, painted on indices, that it's sort of a yellow and not a gold. Now, it does have the effect in this of appearing that it's gold, just like the gold hands, but it is not. Instead, it's just this sort of like, as I said, kind of a butterscotch color. It's really weird. It's hard to explain. Let me get more of this plastic off. So what do we have here? We have what is essentially 39 millimeter case size. So for me, that's kind of small. That's getting in the small territory. I only have a couple of watches that are smaller than 40 millimeters, and this is going to be one of them. And we have a 20 millimeter lug width, and we have this sort of male slash female, sort of a fake me out, right? It looks like a male end link, but it's actually articulated, so it winds up being a female end link there. And I still have plastic here I have to remove. We've got an NH, I believe, 34, or I'm sorry, an NH 35 movement, so this is dateless, so I guess ostensibly we'll have a ghost position in the crown when we go to adjust the time. But I really liked, as I said, I really liked the rivets on the links of the bracelet, because that harkens back to a much earlier time in the Rolex slash Tudor history, sort of a patrimony that they did away with, I guess, to have the rivets on the end links. But I really liked that look when I saw it with the San Martin. And again, I just couldn't make peace with the fact that if I bought the San Martin with the dial I wanted, I wouldn't have the bracelet I wanted. And if I bought the San Martin just for the bracelet that I wanted, I wouldn't be happy with the dial. And I wasn't really in the mood to buy the watch with the dial I wanted and then turn around and spend the money on a bracelet, because what am I going to do with the bracelet I don't use? I'm not going to shamelessly put it on a different watch. It'll just sit there and collect dust. And I already have a number of watch accoutrement that sits and collects dust. All right, so putting it on my 7.5 inch wrist. That's weird. Looks like it's looser than I thought it would be. So, of course, I'll have to remove some links. And I've heard stories about the challenge of getting these links off. because of the fact that they have sort of a dummy rivet on the opposite side. So I guess you have to, somebody says you have to use 2 screwdrivers, but I'm not even sure if that's possible. At the end of the day, my eyes aren't very sharp and clear. So our crown is screw down. And that seems fairly smooth. The watch is running. Let me go ahead and set the time now. And it is hacking, so our second hand is not moving. Yeah, I knew just about as much about THORN as anybody else who never knew anything about THORN until they happened to see a video on YouTube advertising probably the unboxing of this watch, albeit with a different dial. And then, of course, I navigated over to AliExpress and checked it out and decided, okay, now I guess I can have the watch I want. But in the end, as I said, I picked a completely different dial and handset than I was originally enamored with. And I guess it looks pretty good on the wrist. It is, I think this is a watch that has better looks in photography than in real life. Like this actually looks like a replica watch in terms of quality. I don't want to say that. I want to be very happy with it, but the bracelet doesn't feel particularly well done. There's nothing wrong with it. There's sufficient weight to it. It does feel fairly small and it wears small, but that's only because I'm used to wearing larger watches on my wrist. Yeah, so we've got this, I believe it's going to be a green lume. Let's go ahead and check the bezel. Very sort of standard there. And of course it's unidirectional, since we have the hash marks for diving. This is supposed to have, I don't know, maybe 200 meters water resistance. I should have put my glasses on before I filmed this video because I can't see anything. What does that say there in the window? It's probably 200 meters. Yeah, 200 meters water resistance. So the bezel lines up fairly well, unless I've got it wrong. And yeah, smooth action on it, sort of this coin edge. It is a very, it doesn't have a whole lot of height, the bezel, which it really shouldn't, to be honest with you. But it turns fairly easily. I don't have any complaints about that. There is a pip on the bezel, which does have lume, although it doesn't have any metal ring to protect it, so I guess you just have to be careful with that. And again, if I hadn't already mentioned, it is a ceramic bezel, and it has sort of a matte dial. In the light, there is a bit of reflection coming off it. I can clearly see the blue AR coating, though. You can see it too when I rotate it here, the dial in the light. Of course, I keep smudging it. All right, so now I've got a Black Bay 58 homage. Although, really, with the Mercedes hands, there's a period of time in the '60s, in the Tudor history, where they used Mercedes hands. And then they finally came up with the snowflake hands, and so this sort of harkens back to that much earlier time. And we've got satin finish here on the side of the case, and there is a chamfered edge that is high polish there on sort of distinguishing between the top of the case and the side of the case, and a vertical brush on the end links and the top of the case. So yeah, and of course we have a little twin release there for our stamped case top, and of course milled clasp bottom, and a sterile case back. I just ordered some removal tools that will fit this. I have a few watches that use this style, so I'll probably open this up and look at it and see what it's doing. Certainly I'm going to open up a couple of other watches. I'm going to see if I can regulate one of my watches by myself rather than pay an exorbitant amount to send my watch out for regulation. I'm going to try to regulate it myself. All right, guys, not much to talk about. So THORN BB58 Homage, reliable movement inside. It doesn't have the really stunning good looks I hope it had. I think that if they use some gold-filled paint in the bezel and use that same gold fill both for the logo on the dial and the writing on the dial and the minute track and the indices surrounds, I think if they used a sparkly gold paint, this would really, really elevate this watch. As it stands right now, I'm looking at something that disappoints me as I look at it up close. And that is not the sensation I want to have when I splash out on a watch and wait patiently for it to be delivered. Bracelet's okay. It does feel a little bit light. To be honest with you, it feels like were it not for the rivets on both sides, that this bracelet would feel considerably lighter. Like I can almost distinguish that the weight of the bracelet is because of the addition of these end rivets. So that is interesting. It just means that this bracelet is really light without them. And if it's light, it's cheap, right? All right, guys, let me let you go. Please like, share, and subscribe. I will have another watch unboxing within the next day or so because another watch has arrived in country, and it's only a matter of time before I have it in hand. Cheers, everybody.